Hello, and welcome to the Spirit Hunters podcast. I'm Lance White Eagle, and joining me tonight are
Hunter White Eagle,
Brenda,
Lisa White Eagle,
Shane White Eagle. Don't eyeball me, I'll do the introduction, honey, please.
Notice she's the other one that said the first name.
I know, and she's glaring at me.
Yeah,
the whole
she's
time.
like, Brenda.
Yep.
today's podcast is all White Eagles. That's right.
Yep.
First
Sons,
one ever.
mother, sons, mother-in-law, no, sister-in-law.
My grandmother, their mother, and her mother-in-law.
Our other members were unable to make it today, but today's episode is going to be about our...
And Hopi behind the camera's mother, because she's giving me an evil face. Sorry.
So four generations of White Eagles involved in this podcast.
Yeah.
Ooh. In this room.
Well, no.
Wow.
One,
six,
two,
six.
three.
1, 2,
Oh,
3.
yeah, I forget you and Hope are the same generation.
Yeah.
Just 20 years apart.
Literally 20 years apart, yeah.
Yeah,
That is weird.
that is.
She's 8, and I'm 28.
What kind of guy keeps having kids for 20, 30 years? This
I
don't
know,
make
right?
sense.
Yeah. Anyway, today we're going to be talking about
Ghost
our
Kid.
second. Yeah, we don't know how many generations.
Yep.
Our second trip to the Hencoop Hollow Cemetery, where we revisited our first ever ghost hunt outside of Ellicotville, New York. And does anybody remember the actual name on the map of the cemetery?
Kent Road?
No,
It's on Kent Road.
Folsom, was it Folsom Family Cemetery? They changed it. It used to
No,
be
it was
Hencoop.
Bowen. They call it
Bowen.
Bowen
Bowen.
Cemetery.
Bowen.
Yeah, Family Cemetery.
On Kent Road.
Yeah. So for more background on plug our other one. On the history of the cemetery itself, check out our very first podcast, episode 1, where we talk a little bit more about the history and the background of Hencoop.
Oh. And a really cool thing that, a lot of people don't know with the Will-O-Wisp. We saw that.
yeah.
The Will-O-Wisp, you guys might want to check that one out. That's a pretty cool episode.
Yeah, so that episode will tie into this one. But to summarize, it's an old cemetery, 1800s up till early 1900s, I think the graves stopped.
Some of them started actually in the 1700s, but most of those are buried now, except for 1 or 2.
Yeah.
Lots of children from a tuberculosis outbreak, lots of families and veterans from Revolutionary, Civil War.
Yeah.
Yeah, several wars.
Yeah.
I mean, the one grave was what,
17...
early 1700s, or was it
Late
1790? That's what
he
it
was a revolutionary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
1790.
So we were scheduled to do a investigation somewhere else that fell through that day. So we were like, well, let's just go back to Hencoop.
Right, yeah.
And so got our stuff together, tried to go to Hencoop.
Which coincidentally, the first time we were going to go someplace else got canceled, which is why we ended up going to Hencoop.
That's right. We were actually on our way somewhere else, driving through.
Frewsburg or somewhere.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
last minute, we were like, oh, we can't go here. We were already in Ellicotville.
Were we?
Yeah.
Close to it,
Close
yeah.
to it.
Yeah, and we're like, oh, well, there was one in Bill Robertson's book.
Oh, yeah.
Ghosts.
Good friend of ours. Check
Ghosts
him out.
Revisited #1.
Yep.
We were like, hey, there was a cemetery close to here in Bill's book. Let's just find that and check it out.
Yeah.
And we put it in the GPS. It took us right there. We found it. It took us a minute.
Well, it took us to the other side of the street that it was supposed to be
No,
on.
that was the second time.
No, the first time it put us on Hencoop Hollow Road, but
Yeah.
the cemetery is not actually on it. It's on Kent
Yeah.
Road.
Yeah, that used to be part of Hencoop Hollow. They changed it later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the first time we had a little trouble, but not much, finding it. The second time we were looking for that place for 45 minutes.
Yeah, well, keep in mind,
Like-
by the time we went this time,
Yeah, after
the
we
sun
Yeah.
set earlier, so it was darker.
And I feel like we came in a different direction.
Yeah.
Although we did, it put us on either side of the road and put us up there. But although we did have walkies, the service was so spotty up there because of the trees, weather, whatever, that we couldn't communicate with each other the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
So we're all sitting there going down these different roads. You know, keep in mind, no one had phone service.
No.
I know I did.
Oh, it's way to movies.
And I actually stopped somebody driving by them.
Yeah, I did
waved
too.
them down.
Yep.
And was like, "Hey, I'm looking for."
No, that was us. Yeah, I was with you in that truck.
We're looking for the old cemetery, and it's this old couple, and they're like, "Oh, we lived on this road for like 40 years. There's no cemetery on this
Yeah,
road."
I was like,
And we were like, "We've been to the cemetery on
Yeah,
this
we
road."
were so confused.
Yeah.
Well, we were really confused. We're like, I know there's a cemetery here. I was like,
We had video footage of us in the cemetery.
yeah. And he
he's
goes,
like,
well, he goes, you could try up the next road over. You got to go across the main street, the main road, and try over there. You know, he goes, but other than that, you know, or something like that. I don't remember exactly what he said.
Yeah. And even the wife, you like looked at the wife, and she's like, "No, there's no cemetery over here."
Yeah.
We were like,
And then maybe it was, I don't know, but the second time, the first time, because remember we went up there, we just decided to go to that road in case it was over there.
well, actually, before then, Scotty mapped it, and he was like, "Oh, it's over here, but it's got a different name," and we were like, "No, that's not it."
Really?
And then we drove back and forth for like 30 minutes, and Scotty was like, "Tell you guys, it's right over here."
I was gonna say, I
And
remember.
so finally, we went, and it's right there.
So I remember
It was
I
like-
had your little spotlight in the truck, and I was sitting there, and I just was like peeking
That's the
through.
first time.
Yeah. And then we just happened to glimpse. I saw like the glimpse of the light, just catch the edge of a
Yeah.
thing, you know. But then the second time, it was just.
And that's how you guys found it. Lisa and I kind of figured it out on our own. We're like, well, you know what? Let's go to that road, and if there's a road across from it, we'll go up that one.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then,
But that
then we
also
recognized
took
where we were.
a long time too, because
It took a
we
long
did the
time.
same thing.
Yeah,
Up
back
and down
forth,
the
back
road.
and
I'm
forth.
like,
Well,
I
it's-
know I remember this schoolhouse, and I remember going past here. I don't remember going past here.
Well, it's 'cause you would think that when you put in Hencoop Hollow, it would take you to the same side of the street that it always does. But for some reason, the first time it took me to the left side.
Yeah.
The second time it took me to the right, which is right beside the turn to Kent.
Yeah.
But for some reason, I'm thinking, oh, I got to go down, you know, Hencoop, and it confused me again. You know?
Yeah. So we finally found it, and it was Monkey. Monkey and Tana came with us, but also Scotty, Monkey's first cousin, came, and it was Scott's first
Ever
ghost hunt, and he was really excited to go.
Got really into it too.
He did.
Yeah.
Even after we blew him off, like, you don't know what you're talking about. When he's like, it's here
Yeah,
on the
you
map.
mean-
Well, I didn't even know about that.
Yeah.
That's
I was
I
like,
didn't know
like,
that.
no, Scott, you're
How
wrong.
rude.
Scott was so into it, he actually mapped it and everything. No, go this way, you know.
Yeah, he was like, no, it has a different name. It's called this, and it's over on that road. And I was like, no.
It doesn't make
And
sense.
he was really into it, and he's really helpful, too.
Yeah, he was.
And I gotta say, he was more knowledgeable than I would have
Mhm.
anticipated at the time. And you could tell he was actually had been watching some ghost
Yeah.
shows or something.
It makes me wonder, because that couple that we talked to that said they've been here for however long, didn't know about it. How do you live there for that long and not know that
And
a
never crossed
cemetery
the road.
is an eighth of a mile away from you? A very, haunted cemetery?
Yeah, that's in books and stuff.
And, yeah.
Even if it's not, like, if you grew up on that road, like, you never took your bike across the street.
You never explored it?
Like, hey, in 1940, my mama told me I'm not allowed to cross that intersection. I ain't been through since.
And you never heard your friends talk
Here I
about
am,
it?
60 years old, I'm still not going to cross that street.
Yeah. So by the time we got there, it was a little later than we intended. And we unpacked our stuff, kind of in the dark, started setting stuff up, turned on the REM pods, and they started going off immediately.
Oh, yeah.
Just
Both
solid
of them.
going
Both of
off.
them, keep in mind, they're two different brands, two different styles, everything.
And the K2 meter started going off like crazy.
Mhm. And as we mentioned, like I said, check out our first podcast for more background. But there's nothing around there. There's not even power lines going near the cemetery.
It's a cool looking place. It's kind of creepy, especially at
It's
night.
not big, and there's a lot of buried, like sunken in graves, but it's a really neat place. You guys check out the field, the
At one time, you could tell
Bushes.
there's probably more than twice as many gravestones
woods
there.
Yeah.
The TB kids, all they had was little plaques in the first place, and those
Yeah.
had been buried over
Mhm.
probably 100 years ago.
What were you saying, Lise? Oh, I thought you said so.
She says, I'm so good looking.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I would say that.
But why did I just blank on the name?
Hencoop?
REM pods. REM pods.
REM pods.
Started just like something was grabbing them, just a consistent.
Lighten up.
And we thought, okay, maybe the battery's messed up on the one.
Yeah.
So we took the battery out, and then the other one started doing it.
Yep. And the first one stopped.
The first one
Even
stopped,
after
put the
we
new
changed
battery, yeah.
Yeah.
And
But later,
then later they switched again.
Yeah.
The one quit doing it, and the other one just consistently, just like something.
It's the most REM pod action we ever had. It was almost non-stop to the point where it was pretty annoying.
And I know you guys might
eventually I
say,
just completely tuned
Yeah,
it out.
yeah,
it was
just-
you guys, some of you might think, oh, it's just a malfunction. We hit the reset button on everything. Changed the batteries, changed
two different REM
locations,
pods.
and once one stopped, the other one would go. You know, so.
Yeah.
But the second investigation was much more active, and some of you have probably already seen the videos of.
I wish Chrissy was here because it's Chrissy and Shane that found. So,
The bones?
It was actually me and Hunter.
I
Chrissy was
spotted
behind
it
us a little
first.
bit.
oh, did you?
Yeah,
Oh,
well, it
okay.
was us three going down. Was it to the Will-O-Wisp, right?
Yeah, we were looking.
And-
Well, we were looking for that drop off
Yeah.
because we knew it was there somewhere.
We should say it at the back of the cemetery is just wooded, so they went
Yeah,
back out of
several
the
acres.
cemetery into the woods.
Yeah, it goes downhill and downhill and downhill, and at some point there's a huge drop off that was I guess an old gravel mine,
Quarry, yeah, something like that.
and so it's a sheer drop, and that's how the Will-O-Wisp almost tricked us to going in there the
Yeah.
one year.
So, like he was saying, we were going down there, and it was Dad, me, and Chrissy. Chrissy was kind of like right to my back left, and Dad was up front. And we were we coming back up when I noticed it, or were we still going down?
No, we heard something. So we went. We had come up something. Getting ready to go out. We hear something. We go back over, and then that's when he. Hey, so what's that?
Yeah.
A tree or something?
I noticed something hanging in this tree, and knowing our background and our history, as soon as you saw this, you would think, okay, something's not right about it. Not to mention, you kind of get like a weird, like
It was creepy. There was
nerve-wracking
something odd about it.
vibe, I guess, from it.
And it's not because it's in the dark, and we're already been hanging out in the graveyard for a while.
Yeah,
in the
so-
middle of the night.
yeah.
It's a sock in a tree. It shouldn't have been something creepy. It just was.
So yeah, like he said, it's a sock that was tied onto a branch, not just like somebody looped it around and
yeah,
got
old
stuck.
70s and 80s tube sock.
I was about to say
Top.
an old and it was like you could clearly see there was something stuffed into the bottom of it. Lucky
Yeah,
for us,
white.
we're not. Well, we know better not to touch it. Lucky for us, there was a hole on the one side of it, about maybe a small half of a dime size, just enough to see through.
And it was almost worn completely through all around that too. You could
Yeah, it
almost
was really
see through it a little bit.
deteriorated. So I'm sitting there peeking in there with my flashlight, and it's bone of some sort. I don't know if it's human or animal, whatever.
Yeah, it was multiple small bones.
But the fact that it was hanging in the tree like that, with bones in there, behind the cemetery, in the middle of a bunch of freaking woods.
Yeah, and there's
Definitely bad medicine.
some good size
Yeah.
like vertebrae looking bones in it.
Yeah, there was also like a some little teal thing that was kind of flat on one side. I could only see it because it was
There
on
were
the side of the one
like a
sock.
stone?
like odd like
Possibly, yeah.
It was odd like crystals or stones or something mixed in,
yeah.
some black little chunky stuff, and
It was definitely
It
some
was
kind
definitely
of
some medicine. of
yeah,
some
most
sort.
likely some kind of bad
Which was-
medicine.
And tell them what we mean by medicine.
Yeah, medicine for native peoples, what we were.
There's good medicine and bad medicine.
Something super. A lot of people.
Sage,
even though
sage
it's-
is good medicine.
Yeah, even though it's different, and I really am not quite comfortable making that comparison. What some people would call white magic or dark magic.
Or voodoo.
Yeah.
We call them.
We call it medicine.
Medicine.
There's good medicine, like Mom said. There's bad medicine, but it's when we refer to it, it's things that are used for a spiritual purpose. Good medicine, of course, being good. Bad medicine, bad.
Yeah.
So Mom actually wasn't there with us
Not at this one.
at this trip, but Mom, you want to talk a little bit? So what's your kind of theory on this bag hanging in the tree with bones and stones and?
Well, I think somebody put it there as trying to cast a spell of something bad on someone else.
Or somebody that was there. in the past.
Yeah. Well, it's not
Yeah.
that old. See,
Well, it was old enough to be deteriorated with
yeah,
the
oh,
70s, 80s
70s or 80s.
tube sock.
I also think now in some practices, you know, to do whatever. If you're trying to do bad medicine towards somebody,
Yes.
you use something of theirs.
Yes.
sense.
So that's where I thought maybe the sock actually belonged to somebody.
One of those, yeah.
That they were trying to mess with.
Yep.
Right. There's some, we'll say, rumors about that place too. There are some rumors that people have of occult or dark thing, witches, things like that, have did ceremonies there. But there's also a rumor there that it was possibly what's the word? The natives did a curse there. But that was much more recent, and it didn't look like anything native.
It's always our
Wasn't-
fault.
Yeah,
It's always our fault.
It's always, yeah.
But you do see, it's interesting. It could be a lot of things. Cemeteries are on consecrated ground.
Mm-hmm.
You know, why so many devil worship cults or whatever, things that are dark will do things like that. It's a slap in the face to,
This was right off of.
Yeah, I was
Okay.
thinking
Right
that if
Yeah,
you're
it's-
going to do
well, as far as we know,
voodoo,
we don't know
or-
how much it really extended into the trees.
Right.
What do you mean?
I think it
We
would
went there
have to
during
be
the day, remember? It's
all
only like
of
20
the
feet.
consecrated ground from
Yeah,
the
I
I think
think
cemetery.
it's about 50 feet.
Yeah.
Well, from where the entrance was,
Just
where we
at
could
the
walk
Yeah,
through.
well, Shane's saying though, who knows? Because that cemetery's 200 years old.
Yeah.
Right.
It probably did go back further.
250.
And
But
none of
they
those
just
trees
quit
there
upkeeping
are
it.
more than 150
Oh
200
yeah.
years
Oh
old.
yeah. That's
So
what I mean.
they were
But
logged down
Those
at one
those
time.
trees are 34, more than I'd say the age of the sock.
Yeah.
Some of
Oh
those big
yeah, oh
trees.
yeah, oh yeah.
those trees
So
are monstrous.
it was
Yeah.
whoever put it up at the time they did it.
Well,
it was outside of.
I was saying, not to
cemetery,
mention-
to
I
their
don't know.
knowledge.
Well, listen.
At the side, because the tree it was on was only a 12-foot little.
Yeah, that
Not
tree
even.
was young.
It was up. I could see through it with my eyes on my feet, which means the sock only hung down to about 5.5 feet.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't.
Yeah, you're missing what we're trying to say.
That's what he's saying. The
tree-
tree couldn't have grown
The
that
tree
much.
was
since it
about
there.
at the
It was
most
young.
5 years old. So
Yeah.
you're looking at something
Rather
that was
recent.
in that period of time.
Yeah, that's what I'm
was
saying.
there.
It's
Yeah.
new.
Yeah.
So, but the fact that
Well,
it's an old 70s, 80s sock, which means someone's in this. Hey, I'm gonna.
Some of us still wear socks that are like that. All right.
Hey,
The ones that have the stripes on there that
I've
go up
got
to your
socks
knees.
older
They still
than
make
that.
I know they
They
do.
still make them.
These two don't wear them.
Hey, I must have some that's from the 50s, so you know.
Yeah.
Well,
But
Mine are green,
I
but
do
they're that
not
size.
think that a bad medicine would work if it was on consecrated ground. So I think that was like on the edge as a
The reason.
thumbs. Thumbing that-
Being on consecrated ground doesn't mean that bad things can't come on there. It's people that try to use black stuff to as a mockery of that, right? That's why you see a lot of these old churches and all with all this devil stuff and cult activity in them. It's a mockery of that trilogy.
yeah.
But who knows? And it wasn't just hanging there. It's not like somebody threw it.
No,
This
it
thing
was tied
knotted
And
onto
tied to
the
a
tree.
knot and cranked
Did it
down.
have like string wrapped around it?
No, it was so long of a sock that they turned it around.
The
and
branch was
ran
like a
through.
good 3-inch in diameter branch too. It was a solid branch, and this sock was long enough to tie to a knot on top of it. So
Right, and it's pretty at least 5.5 feet off the ground.
yeah,
At the bottom of it.
Mm-hmm.
It was creepy looking.
Yeah.
And it was definitely something we wouldn't touch, and we made sure we stayed away from.
yeah.
Yeah, I think you and Chrissy got close and like we're trying to look in and stuff in the hole. but-
Yeah, like I had my flashlight up looking
Yeah.
like this, trying to, but obviously I know better not to touch it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we did, of course, warn Chrissy too. I'm not sure if she's ever
Well, she
had
was
come
still
across
kinda
something like that before.
New to
Yeah.
our native beliefs at the time, right? Because that was
Yeah, but well, I mean, we've been doing it a while, but that would also be something in her
That was a
beliefs
year
that you
now.
would not.
yeah.
That yeah,
It's suspect. That's for
yeah, definitely.
sure.
So that was early on in the investigation. That was
Yeah.
pretty
That was
creepy. And We did not, I mean, we were through those woods the first time. You guys walked almost right through that same area and didn't notice it the first time.
No, that's when I noticed it.
No, for Hencoop 1.
We noticed it in Hencoop 1, did we
No,
No.
it was the second
So it
time.
was a second time?
Yeah,
Yes.
you guys walked right past that following the Will-O-Wisp.
And
didn't
it
notice
wasn't there.
I mean, it had
Could
to
have
be. It's
been
more
there.
than-
That's what I meant. Like
The truth is, this was,
I don't know
come
why.
through that
Yeah.
opening, it's over this way about 50
I
feet.
didn't mean to say
We
it
kind
wasn't
of walked
there.
right by it, probably
Yeah,
the first time. Didn't
but
we?
it's interesting that that's round about the same location
Yep.
that the other thing was.
The
It
Will-O-Wisp?
is. But
Yes.
keep in mind, the first time we went was early August, lots of leaves still on the trees.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
flies
easy to
and
miss.
camouflage.
Yeah, and I mean, you're not looking around. You were focused on something when you
We're
were
focused
Yeah.
directly
We
on
gotta
this
think.
weird little light that never seemed to get close.
When we saw this willow, when I first noticed it, we were sitting by the entrance to go into the woods. So we were in this back corner.
Yeah.
The sock is over here diagonal, which is
Yeah.
exactly where we saw the willows, like you were saying.
Yeah.
So it's
It's suspicious.
yeah.
So let's see. So that was kind of one of the first things the first thing we had was the rim pod.
Yeah.
And you guys found the sock
Oh
out there.
no! The first thing was a REM pod. The second thing was that light, that tall one he had. Remember how we saw it in the one video and knocked over?
Oh.
It happened earlier, and I
Yeah.
was watching it, talking to Scott as we're sitting there because we're facing the boo.
Yeah.
And we're both like, it literally just goes.
Yeah, it's a
Keep in mind-
work
down.
light.
Yeah.
Sit-
Didn't
just sitting on
fall
the
over,
ground.
it just laid
Keep
down.
in mind, it's been sitting
No,
on.
it fell.
Like as
But
if
like
something
something
knocked it
pushed
over.
it.
But it's
As
been
it-
sitting in the same spot for the 30, 40 minutes before that, no issues. No wind, no nothing.
No, it
and
wasn't.
it had
just-
a heavier base to it.
Oh, yeah,
It's
it's a-
designed to stand.
It's a big,
Yeah.
heavy
Stay
battery.
Yeah. So.
And yeah, twice that got knocked over.
Yeah,
but once
throughout the night.
early on.
Yep.
We did also get the mail meter get readings too when we were setting up.
Oh yeah, started spiking and stuff. And then I think one of the first things is you and Lise. You guys want to talk about your visitor from the first trip?
Yeah, go ahead, tell about that.
Visitor from the first trip?
Yeah, you guys had a visitor come and hang out.
Yeah, the one that Hope woke up to.
Yeah.
I wasn't here when she talked about that to you, though.
You go ahead and say it, yeah.
Okay. When we first went to Hencoop, one of the things we do to protect ourselves is we smoke ourselves outside the house before we go to a location. And we do some other things. But when you're smoking a house, you're asking negative things, at least with us, because anything good that's lived here, we don't feel it's our right to move them on unless there's some kind of threat, right?
Something negative.
So
Negative,
we forgot
you asked
when we
to
did that
leave.
smoke when we get done with the location, we smoke ourselves again. And we also make it clear to the spirits that they can't follow us. But it was our first investigation as a group, and we did it like a house
Yeah.
instead of a haunted location. And we said nothing negative or benevolent, but we forgot to say nothing at all. So we're here the next day. It's a Sunday morning. Hope wakes up. Lisa and I are already up.
No,
And
I was at work.
She was, yeah. Say she was.
okay,
Yeah.
wherever. Hope wakes up and then she screams bloody murder, and I go running up there, and she said, "There's a woman! There's a woman!" And what she could see clearly was like a 5'8" woman, tall woman with dark hair in a ponytail, a blouse and a long skirt, and some kind of weird boots or something.
Do you think that was possibly like mom of those children?
Yeah, we're getting to that.
Boy,
How am I supposed to know that?
you're not gonna wait till I finish my story.
I didn't want to forget my thought.
Anyway, so we realized that there was something else going on. And of course, then I realized my mistake, and I said in a very emphatic way, but in a nice way, look, I should have been more clear, but you can't be here, plus, our daughter has a weird thing of waking up with people looking at her anyway, and it just terrified her. To her, it was a real woman. She thought we had like a guest in the house that was just
You're
staring
just
at her.
watching her sleep?
Right.
Yeah.
And
mean,
she
that's
said the
creepy no
woman
matter
had
who you
a
are.
very
You just wake up-
calming, relaxed look on her face. It wasn't scary, but just the fact that there was a woman standing at the end of the bed, literally 3 feet away from her, scared her.
Yeah.
So, when Lisa and I were at the first investigation, she was using her rods. We were also
On the
using...
second investigation.
Well, on the first one, this is when that happened. On that first investigation, there was this woman. There was 3 children's graves there. We were talking to her with the rods and getting responses with millimeters, yes, no questions, stuff like that. The woman said, you know, Lisa actually got an MVP saying, please don't hurt my babies or something like that.
Oh, the reporting, that's right.
Literally clear as day. Please don't hurt my babies.
Yeah, because she doesn't know who we are.
Yeah.
You know, and in her mind, could be a threat to her children.
Yeah.
Obviously, she was still there looking for her babies.
Yeah.
Or
Protected
them. She saw 2 parents because we were talking about our child. Another mistake we made at the time.
Well, you also had 2 of your kids with you.
Yeah, but talk about a younger child because her children were like 2 to 5 or something like that.
No, one was, it literally said infant.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
geez.
The one was she came home with us and checked out our kid, and so we sent her, and she did. I gotta say, she never had another issue. She went, and you can almost feel it. So that when we went back for Hencoop 2, we went over there and talked to her again. Talked a little bit more. Do you remember any of that?
I know.
I do recall you say, you asked, you were telling me that you asked, like, if she was the one who came home and with you, and she said, yeah, and it was almost apologetic to you guys.
She was apologetic.
She didn't mean any harm.
Well, not to mention.
And that's how we kind of knew that too, but she confirmed it.
And if you lose your children in however way she lost them, and you come here, jeez, don't touch that. And yeah, slip it up. And you see a very young child sleeping in the bed, peacefully. Most likely
going to be comforting.
Yeah.
And you could tell she was a loving person. And when we did, when Lance was referring, she did say, yes, I went with you, and I didn't mean to scare her, and we said, we understand that, I said, but I'm glad that you're, here, and you got to know that you can't come back with us because, she's just an 8-year-old, she don't understand.
Yeah, and Rod said, yeah.
At the time, she was a 7-year-old, so.
Yeah.
The rods, and we were using millimeters and stuff too.
Yeah. So, but then she was nice about it and all, but it was
very
just
sweet.
like, she's like, I followed you guys home, checked out you, didn't mean, and they're like, no, it's cool. We just, you can't just come and
we got just
can't come home.
Yeah. Now, two stuff happened in the second investigation.
While they were doing, that was the second. While they are over there talking to this nice, sweet old lady who's just like, oh, I just wanted to see your daughter. She's so cute.
Yeah.
You, Scotty, Chrissy, and Tana are on the other side of the cemetery. And Scotty is going to do his first ever spirit box session.
First ever.
Because he's seen it on TV, and he's like, yeah, I want to do it. Like, so he sits down, he puts, and at the time I think it was just, because I think Mumsy and I were up the hill.
Yeah, you were at the boo or something.
You, Scott,
somewhere.
Tana, and Chris.
Yeah.
And you want to say what one of the first things Scotty got was?
He heard, and for kids, I'm sorry. Well,
I marked this as not for kids anyway.
He says, bitch. That's what he heard. Clear as day,
Yeah.
It was just
right
off the bat.
And so initially, Tana,
someone who's never done a spirit box session, that's not something you're going to think to make up in
he kind of
is that normal?
Yeah. And of course,
because he's never done one before.
Exactly.
Didn't he hear it like a couple more times?
No,
too?
I heard it. I heard
throughout
it
the night
time.
did, yeah.
He only heard it the once, and you guys assumed initially, as you would, because Tana and Chrissy are there. Tana and Chrissy were like, okay.
Yeah.
Well,
you could tell just by the way he said it that whoever was talking through the spirit box.
Yeah, it was said in a nasty
way.
Which
we confirmed later was a very, what's the word? Bad, angry man, So for him to probably say something like that directed at women would make sense.
Yeah.
Don't want to just assume, obviously, but that would make more sense. So
Yeah.
and we'll say why later on.
Yeah. So like Tana and Chrissy were a little like, oh, okay, like rude.
Yeah.
You know, like do you not like us here? And Scotty got a couple other things, but nothing too much right there.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly what was said, but he got some
Yeah.
answers to the questions that me, Tana, and Chrissy were asking.
Yeah, but it was enough kind of to set the tone.
And to give
of
them a
that
feel
area
of
a
how
little
the
bit.
spirit box should work and how
Yeah.
it goes.
So I came over towards the end of Scotty's session,
Yeah.
and you were like Scotty says he heard bitch.
Yeah.
And I was like, go Saint. I was doubtful. I was like, I don't think,
Yeah.
maybe he just thought he heard that.
Yeah.
You know, so like when he was done, I was like, all right, I want
the
to.
chances of you hearing that.
Yeah, I was like, I want to.
Maybe there's a big ditch right over here.
Yeah, you know, or like the static does that.
Yeah.
You know, I could see where you could.
I just got a stitch or an itch.
Yeah, yeah. So I was, no offense to Scott, but I was a little doubtful because we've
Yeah.
never had a ghost curse at us before.
No, yeah.
You know? So I put them on, and the first thing I hear is, bitch. It's like,
Wait a minute.
I just heard it too.
Excuse me?
Yeah. And by this time, though, Tana and Chrissy have walked away. I do
Yeah,
believe.
probably.
And it's you, Scott, and Monkey.
Yep.
So I put them back on, and what did you guys ask?
Who's a bitch?
We were asking you, and you said, "Who's?" Was Scott? I think that said, "Who's the bitch?" And you heard Hunter, which is me.
Yep.
So
And then
I was like, "Excuse me?"
Yeah, and so I was very
I was
confused.
very offended and pissed off in a way, but I didn't show it the way I wanted to.
Let's try not to curse too much.
too much.
Not me.
Angry.
Yeah.
I was angry.
Yeah, and I have no idea what they've asked. The only thing I've heard is the B word,
Yeah.
and then a couple minutes later, Hunter.
Yeah.
And
So
it was a man, definitely older man voice.
it was very aggressive tone. So
That's when you got
later on in that investigation, that's why I said we'll get to that.
But I think it was when I was sitting there I started to notice, because it was chilly-ish out, but it was not cold.
Yeah.
But
It was chilly. Yeah.
as you're walking towards this section, towards the back, where we have the chair set up, where we're doing the spirit box, Monkey and I were walking over, you could feel the temperature drop
Drastically.
And
Several degrees.
several degrees. And then when we were
Outside.
sitting in that chair, it was frigid
Yeah.
cold.
Yeah, I don't know. When I did
I was gonna
mine,
say-
I was to the point where I was
Freezing.
starting to shake.
Yeah.
I just want to preface this because when I was doing the spirit box, and I've told them this there, I didn't feel any colder, and I didn't get a single thing on the spirit box. And for you that know, that is very unheard of for me. I'm always
Oh, yeah, you get
very
lots of
active
stuff.
spirit box session.
He didn't like you.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
so
didn't like you
whatever
then.
it was, my aura, something I said, whatever this thing was, didn't like. You know, but yeah.
So I don't feel like I got much else at that time.
At that time, I don't think no.
So-
it was just like basic.
Yeah,
questions.
but we were like, that's a little weird. But also, I think around that time is when the movement started.
We
Where it slow- yeah,
we
it
need to
started
talk
off
about
slow.
that because it wasn't just some movement. It was a lot of loud movement constantly. Almost nearly
Take
constant.
something as solid as a bear, but able to walk on his hind legs
Yeah.
with lightning
Right.
speed
You
pretty
can
much
hear it
around the whole
walking.
cemetery.
Now, and we did have a couple other things. I thought it looked like a single headlight in the woods at one point when we were, Hunter or one of you guys were doing a session, spirit box session. There was a lot of crack,
Yeah.
you know, something walking through leaves,
Yeah.
all kinds of stuff to the
Yeah.
point where it was getting annoying.
Yeah.
And
well,
these are big branches, not like no little twigs. Like something's snapping these
Yeah.
solid branches.
I just remember it was when they were still over there when it started because I was like, well, that's got to be Shane or Lisa walking
Yep,
through the woods.
'cause they were on this
But then we
far
look
side.
over and they're both sitting there. You
Yeah.
know, because it was a good sized man size.
Lisa was
something.
probably, I think, doing her
She
rods
was
at
doing
that
the
time.
rock. That's
Yeah.
where they were talking.
We were still like in
Yeah.
the southeast corner and they were in the northeast.
Yeah.
So we were
But yeah, it
a
just
good
sounds like
100-something
something
feet away from
big.
each other. Yeah.
Purposefully letting you know it's there,
Yeah.
walking back and forth in the tree line. snapping stuff,
almost like,
crunching leaves.
like he's stalking us, but going back and forth to let, like
it was like intended to try to make you feel like it was stalking you. Every time you had your back, you're close to something happened right behind you.
Yeah. But notice when we were in the woods, I don't think, at least not that I recall, heard anything breaking.
Oh no, and we were in the woods quite a bit.
Yeah,
we're all around.
At least half the investigation.
Whole thing, whatever you.
I even went in the woods that time.
Yeah. She wouldn't go the first time. I forgot about that. She's like, oh, they see something.
She wouldn't go at Guernsey Hollow either.
That was big.
There's a we'll talk about
when
that
we first got there, Chrissy Monkey and I walked all the way through those woods to,
and then I met you in there
to where like houses and stuff start. We walked like
which is
half
a
a mile
far
through there.
Yeah.
No cracking, no.
Yeah.
Like the first time we were there, we did see a couple coyotes in the woods.
Yeah, and we did have a lot of cracking and stuff that night, not to the point of the second time.
No, some, and some of it was the coyotes, but they.
Yeah, the first time I got groped.
Yeah,
there was a couple of us that
podcast.
got,
talk about it.
But
both
the second time, I don't think anybody actually got touched. Except no, Hunter got pushed.
Yeah,
I got shoved.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a minute.
Yeah.
So we had the break-ins and stuff.
That's on camera too, by the way.
Yeah, we got the thing calling you the B word. So I think we went up, reconvened at the Boo.
Right.
Met up with these guys, told them what we got. Yeah.
The Boo, base of operations.
Yeah.
Thanks, Monkey, for coining that phrase.
Around that time, I mean, hours had passed by this time.
Yeah.
Monkey and Tana left, I do believe. Or we're getting ready to leave. Because he had worked that morning.
Wasn't Scott still there when dead?
Yeah, Scotty's car was here.
His car was in front of the house here.
That's right.
Yeah.
So he just came.
Monkey's. It was a Friday. The investigation was on a Friday.
Yeah, that's right.
Like he had worked that morning, 5 a.m. And
so, I know what you're getting ready to go to. Right, go ahead. That's pretty cool.
And Chrissy started not feeling great.
Yeah.
So she laid down in the car. I think was Lisa in the car by this time too.
At one point,
yeah.
She's
Aiden and.
I was tired. Took a nap.
Tori or Sarah, one of them, who was at the investigation. I think Sarah might have been the first one, so it might have been
Tori.
It was Tori and Aiden.
The second time, right?
The first time was Megan and Aiden, and then the second time was Tori.
Well, Sarah was there too.
No.
Sarah was at the Dudley.
Sarah came to the Dudley, and Sarah came to the Andover house.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Andover.
So just me, you, Shane, and Scott.
And Scott in that corner.
Went back to the corner because we told Shane like, "Hey, this ghost called Hunter the B word," and he was like, the same reaction I had. I think when Scotty was like, I heard he was like, "Sure, okay, guys."
Yeah. And then we're like, well, it said Hunter was a bitch,
Yeah.
And then Dad was like, kind of maybe okay. So then after our little smoke break, unless were you gonna say something else?
Have something to interject? You just
No,
real
no,
fast.
Oh yeah, she does that.
My back hurts and I was trying to look at him better.
So we went back over to the spot. And,
I thought you were gonna say the monkey thing that they saw.
Well, yeah, but we got something on the spirit box at the same time.
On the spirit.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Shaney did.
Okay.
I think. So we walked back over into the cold area, and I think that's when
he got on.
When you got on, yeah.
And I wasn't expecting much
No,
because
'cause
I
you
did
almost
several
never get
times,
anything.
and only one time before did I really get anything.
Mm-hmm.
This was a good.
So I wasn't expecting to get anything really on this one either.
So yeah, Shane puts them on, and we're hearing all the breakage.
A lot of it.
And
a lot of it.
Keep in mind, it's like it's almost like it doubled up
Yeah.
what it was doing compared to the speed it was doing the first time.
On even before Shane, because in the video, remember Chrissy's sitting behind the camera,
Yeah.
and you can hear stuff like crunching the leaves right behind her.
We had that
She
in
even
audio.
kind of mentions it, if I remember.
And I was sitting
She
here
literally
doing
said something
EMF
just broke a
readings
branch behind me.
when you guys were doing the spirit box, and I was getting readings too, which
Yeah.
I noted on the camera, but it was happening behind me too.
Mhm.
This loud crunching, and I was starting to get aggravated because I could tell it was trying to scare people.
Well, it was
Yeah.
also you can tell the tone of what was coming through. This guy was angry,
Mhm.
We also have all those
and
branch
this
breakings on video.
Tombstone was a little odd too. He had two wives that died almost about the same time.
Did we know for sure that was his, or was it the one that was in the
It said
back?
him and beloved wife, or something like
I
that.
thought he was the one in the back left, the back.
No, the one had 2 beloved wives. Who I'm thinking it was the guy on the other side that was such and such and his wives.
Yeah.
Like they don't know beloved. I don't even know if their names were down. Just his name
wives.
and his wives.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm like,
That may, yeah.
So even that sounds a bit chauvinistic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
So, and that kind of was a feel for a lot of our stuff too, but more so
Yeah.
with me, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I don't know, like to talk to Shane. Shane got more than anything.
Not talk to him, talk at him,
Through him.
through him.
Yeah.
That's a good way. But
So do you remember like so Monkey's pulling away, and do you remember one of the first things you heard on it?
One of the things, which oddly enough, it said skinwalker.
Yeah.
now, yeah.
So,
You might want to explain what a skinwalker is.
well, I think
Grandma
anybody
can too,
watching
if you
this,
want.
I mean, they have an
Oh.
idea. They don't, want
yeah, you want to summarize to us what a skinwalker would be?
Skinwalker is also bad medicine. It's like someone who wears an animal skin and tries to put spells or curses
Yeah,
on
she's right.
people.
Yeah, we don't want to be too.
And there's,
yeah.
even amongst natives, there's little variances in that.
Mm.
Like
Yeah,
the
among
Navajos,
started.
when the Navajos are used for warring
Well,
over
saying them different.
certain lands, right? Eventually, the Navajos ceded the lands to the Utes, and then supposedly said they were skinwalkers that then cursed that land.
Mhm.
Skinwalkers, according to Navajos, are witches.
Yeah,
Right,
which
and
is
they
to do
have
certain
That
do
can
bad
turn
things.
into animals.
They can't. They'll wear the
Physically
pelt, but
turn
they
into
cannot just turn
animals.
into the ones that wear the pelt of, but they can turn into sometimes multiple different
They can
types.
shapeshift, yeah.
Shape-shifting.
Yeah, so it's something we're familiar with. What Shane hears that coming over the spirit box. Outside of it, we ask.
Which is surprising because you're in a white
You
people's
never
cemetery.
hear that.
There's not,
Yeah.
why would you hear
So,
skinwalker?
just
Also
to keep
not-
you up to track, he hears Skinwalker. We're hearing all these different things run around us, and then
Yeah, we asked outside of it.
yeah.
We said, what's in those woods making this noise? And that's
Yeah.
when Shane heard skinwalkers.
Yeah.
Now, like, I don't think Iroquois even really have them, which is this territory. I think whatever it was picked
No,
that because
mostly
it knew
Western.
Yeah.
that it would mean something to
To
us. Like you
us.
said, I think it was trying to break stuff and things to try to intimidate or scare us.
And
Yeah.
we were talking about earlier about that medicine thing in the tree.
Yeah.
And maybe it's just taking all this and
Something that
Yeah.
you knew a little bit about.
together.
Interesting, though, point of order is
Yep.
Monkey and Tana left early because, like I said, he was tired. As he's driving down the road, Tana was actually driving, I think, because he was pretty worn out.
Yeah.
He sees, and he couldn't even describe what was wrong with it. He just said like
Something was off.
something off. But he sees this deer come out of the woods on the side of the road as they're driving, and like looks at
onto
them.
the road, looking at them.
Yeah, just
Stops and just
and looks at them, and then as they're getting close, just kind of keeps eye contact, but backs up back into the brush. And
what deer do you know is going to take steps backwards rather than
well,
just
calmly too.
turn around?
You know,
Yeah.
deer
You
either
got-
freeze or run.
Keep in mind, he's got a big
And note the characteristics.
truck that's not the quietest on a gravel road at night. This deer is not just going to be like, oh, okay, I'm just going to slowly back
Well,
up.
they in general they freeze or they
And they don't back up.
no, and
You
they
know?
But he and Tana both, they couldn't explain what was wrong with it.
Yeah.
But they both said something is wrong with that. That's not normal.
Yeah.
And Monkey says maybe it was a skinwalker.
But
And this actually like just so happens to be either at the exact same
Within
time
seconds.
or within seconds of us getting this on the spirit box.
He called or said something. He called somebody.
He sent a message.
That's
but
what it was,
I don't
yeah.
think we got it until we got back.
Right.
but
because
it,
we don't have
their
it's a
times,
cell phone
their
ring.
timestamps.
But he said
too,
something
yeah.
too was wrong with its legs or something.
said
Yeah, he said
legs
there was
were-
something wrong.
Shaped the wrong way.
Yeah,
Yeah,
or
something like the knees were backwards on the back
yeah,
legs or something
something
like
He
back
that.
the
couldn't
knees.
pinpoint. Yeah,
Yeah,
something was
they-
off about
Yeah, he
this.
said there's something weird
you
with
know.
the legs or something, but there was something wrong with it. Which
Right. I think what he said was when it moved forward, these front ones, you know how the deer have their legs that kind of go like this?
Mhm.
The knees were this way on the back legs. I'm pretty sure that's what he said, which is really weird. Now, it could be the deer with a weird birth defect and somehow survived with it, but a lot of weird coincidences there.
Yeah.
Also very common in our kind of belief system is that if there is something like that that's taken the appearance of something else, you will pick up that there's something wrong with it.
Right, there's
Yeah.
something
Oh,
always
you know
there with
something
something
off.
off.
Yeah, you won't be able to pin,
You see a
figure out
wolf,
what
but
it
it
is.
has one blue eye, things like that. That would
Yeah,
always
like
kind of
some-
give it
just
away.
Something is just
wrong,
not right
something
about
off.
it, you know. I'm sure a lot of you have had that feeling about something.
Yeah.
Whether, you know.
And Monkey, even though he's not, is very familiar with native culture.
Yeah.
So that's why when he saw this animal and just felt there's something wrong, he was like, "Oh, that's a shapeshifter." You know?
Yeah, right,
I mean,
exactly.
And he's not even native, but it popped
No.
the first thing he thought of
Yeah.
when he saw it.
And just so happened to be while we
Got that on the spirit
that
box.
exact word on the spirit box.
Yeah.
Yeah, shapeshifters and skinwalkers, the kind that
There's some
turn
overlap,
into
yeah.
animals, are kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
And are dangerous.
They're dangerous.
And we
yeah.
can tell one of these days we'll go do an episode about these kinds of things, because there's some weird stuff they have to do even to become that.
Yeah.
That's horrible.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That-
But at
might
about
not
this
be
time
from-
too,
yeah. I don't
you guys
think
were
we should
getting,
say
when
that.
I was on this, I was unaware of it. Of course, I'm blindfolded and got noise canceling headphones and really loud in my
Yeah.
ear. You're hearing more and more stuff in the woods.
Yeah.
And you were getting ready to go and check it.
Yeah.
And I hear at the same time, right when you're getting ready to go into the woods, I hear is in an emphatic way, stop!
In a woman's voice, though, remember?
Yeah, a woman. Oh no, was it?
It was a
Yeah,
woman's
he
voice.
said
It was a
woman's
woman's
voice,
voice,
yeah.
Stop!
Yeah.
And I didn't know what it meant.
Yeah.
Of course, but you guys are like, oh. what?
Yeah.
Well, Hunter and I are literally, as you say that, about to
Wood
step
line,
into the
us
woods.
on it. And because we heard this like the biggest break, and it was
Oh,
literally
like
just
something just took a break.
just
and
within
snapped it.
literally 2 or 3 feet of where we were. So right as we're getting ready to walk in there, keep in mind this is after the skinwalker stuff. I keep looking at the TV for some reason, not the camera.
Instead of the camera. So that's all right. I never make eye contact with the camera anyway. I just look at you
I
guys.
noticed.
Yeah.
Right after he said skinwalker, within a minute and a half, and then he hears a woman's voice, "Stop!"
Mhm.
You know, and then obviously you could tell what we were saying, what we thought our thought process was, and why she said that.
Yeah, I think
You know.
she was.
So
trying to
you
look out
guys
for us.
stopped,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, because
You're
Hunter,
like, okay.
Hunter and I were like literally like 1 foot up about.
Our 1 foot was
to
probably
into the
already
tree line,
onto the
and he
woods.
said, "Stop!"
Yeah, and
We
you
at
guys
first
told me
didn't
about
even
that, too,
realize
at the time.
he was on the spirit. I didn't anyway. I just thought Shane like was telling us like stop.
Like, wait
And
a
then,
minute.
and then,
you know?
and then he goes in a woman's voice, and I'm
We're
like,
like-
oh,
And then so we like
he's not actually talking to
we
us.
thought about it, so we stepped back.
Yeah.
When I saw the video later, it kind of irked me because I was getting aggravated. This thing was trying to, seem like it was trying to scare people. But then I get Skinwalker, and now I'm distracted with my eyes closed, my ears, and then something's trying to lead you guys into the woods. Whatever that girl thing, by the way, that was a saddest emotional sensory deprivation thing I ever had, because this girl the whole time is begging me to help her.
Right.
And I'm feeling so like useless. And then I hear this guy telling her to shut up. And then I hear a third man who's sympathetic with the woman, a much calmer, younger man, trying to be helpful too.
Yeah.
And trying to instruct me kind of like the way to try to help her. It was a really odd experience. At the same time, I'm getting angry as hell with this bad guy. Right?
Well, tell him what you heard next.
Well,
when
tell him about what the woman said to you.
the neck part. Well, I'm gonna break.
No,
your neck.
that was later.
No,
At
that
first,
was
he
later.
heard the woman say, "Help," asking you for help.
Help me, please, help me. And she sounds so sad.
So
it almost makes me want to crack up just talking about it.
So Shane starts saying that, and we can tell in his voice, like,
He's hearing something.
yeah. So I get out my tobacco, 'cause, like we've talked about before. We use
Yeah,
tobacco
more than
for
than
stuff like that.
Yeah, and you gave some.
Oh,
More than tobacco.
Oh, that was before then.
Yeah.
Okay,
Oh,
so
when I was on it, you guys went and got.
yeah.
Yeah.
Should we talk about
Yeah, we
that?
can.
I guess.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt.
Well, like I said, the first time we were there were coyotes, and we do live in bear country.
Yeah.
So we have all these breaks, and typically a coyote or a bear, if they hear people, they're going to go away, unless something is wrong.
Yeah.
You know, like rabbit or something like that. So I went to the car and got my firearm out.
Yep.
And I have a license for New York and everything, just in case it is a dangerous animal.
Yeah.
You know, and like I actually wouldn't shoot a coyote. I like coyotes and bears.
They are pretty cool.
But you know, just the
Shoot
sound.
this up
to
in the
scare
air,
them.
scared it
Yeah, it'll
off.
scare it off. Yeah. So as I go to the car and Chrissy's laying in there, I think, but no, she wasn't in the car yet.
Not at the time.
Yeah. And I kept it unloaded and apart because I had to drive to PA to get her.
Yeah.
And you have to unload it, put it in the trunk, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I'm loading the firearm, and do you recall what you hear on the Spirit? You have no idea I'm even gone.
I can't remember exactly what, but it was in your voice, and it was a couple times. Something about
Well, the first thing you said, "Are you really going there?"
Yeah, oh,
Or
okay.
something like that.
And
Or,
he said he's gonna go get his firearm. Him and I were talking, and you saying I'm gonna go get the firearm, and then you hear, "Are you really going there or going over there or something like that?"
Yeah.
You know.
And I do remember though that twice I heard Lance's voice saying something to me.
Yeah.
Which is odd too.
yeah, I believe one of them was
And
watching.
when we watched the video
and
later.
Be careful.
Yeah,
you
be
better
careful.
be careful.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, something like that.
You know, I don't think it liked.
The idea.
It didn't it didn't like himself feeling threatened.
Well,
in
which
any
also
way.
makes me kind of
He
feel
didn't
like
like Lance was empowering himself.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, and I wasn't even thinking like I'm going to shoot a ghost because it ain't going to work. But like I said, you know, like if there is, because we have had bear be aggressive in this area because they're sick or whatever, you know.
Yeah, half starved.
Yeah, or
over
half
there.
starved, yeah. Or waking up when it's not time to wake up
Right.
because of our weird
Or
weather
yearling you
fluctuations.
can't get
Yeah.
dead.
But it also made me think that maybe this guy did not realize the state he was in.
Yeah, he was
That's
actually
possible.
That he was actually dead because the vibe I got watching the video back is he felt threatened
That we were in
Right.
space.
that I was that I was getting a weapon.
Oh.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
are you really going there?
Yeah.
dead.
better
And
be
he
careful.
felt
Yeah.
aggravated and maybe threatened by Hunter too.
Oh,
Like
he
in a
did not
physical
like
way.
that.
That's what happened when you
Yeah.
pushed him.
I don't know.
You know,
I apparently
I
give
think
off
he really
either
thought-
a really timid demeanor or really, I guess,
Well,
I don't know.
I also
the timid part was a joke.
Yeah.
Inside joke.
those wives, I'm assuming, were also much younger than him, probably much closer to your age.
Yeah.
And
Ooh.
you're a young single man, you know, and, you know, even Scotty and I are closer to middle age than young men.
You're pretty young though. And
Thanks. Comparatively.
I mean,
But
you're
no,
literally only 10 years old.
Yeah, I
That's
know,
not
but
a
I
lot.
think the wives died in their 20s.
Yeah.
You know, he
So-
might have more of a grudge against it. Oh, this young punk thinks he's gonna, you know.
Tell my wife that she doesn't
And
have to be
I think
afraid.
too that he kind of got the feeling that he could get more out of Hunter.
Oh well, he
think-
was needling Hunt Man.
He
And
was
Hunter
trying
is
to, and
hard to control his temper a little more
No,
than
I think
sometimes.
he got mad because I wasn't giving in to him the way he wanted it to. Like when he's pushing me, calling me a bitch, he wanted more of a reaction of like, oh, helpless.
Yeah, you did do
I'm
a good
scared.
job.
Well,
Hunter did do a really
ghost is
good
not
job.
gonna fucking scare me. I'll
Like,
be dead.
And
Excuse my
Hunter
language.
thinks that
Sorry.
he thought that the guy was trying to scare him, and it wasn't working.
A ghost, yeah, it's not.
Yeah.
But
It-
on the
yeah.
video, didn't he push Hunter
yeah,
after
we're
he
still-
we're
tried to
gonna
help
get
the
there.
woman?
We're still
Yeah.
getting to that, yeah. So we're going a little out. So I came back with the firearms, you know, just in case it was something. And I think after that, Chrissy left. Shane hears the woman pleading for help. And Shane starts to sound upset.
You can
And
tell.
I think that was around the time, too, that he starts shaking.
Yeah.
Just cold. So I gave you
Yeah,
my
I got
notes.
ice cold, and I was just like shaking my
Yeah.
head.
Oh, because that chair was freezing.
Yeah.
It was a weird feeling because I was really angry
I'd
with
like
this
to go
guy.
back there.
Yeah.
And feeling like I was
This
helpless to
thing,
help
yeah.
this woman
Mhm.
who kept begging for it.
So,
You know?
yeah, she's asking for help. So I got out my tobacco. And we explained to Scott, who, Scott, by the way, was really like, Monkey grew up on a reservation. We've been friends pretty much our whole lives. Like, Monkey, like I said, knows a lot about me. Like, Scotty doesn't have that experience.
That background at all,
Yeah.
right?
So, like, I thought it was really
He took
cool.
it like a champ, though. He was,
Oh, not just the ghost hunt, but like I got out the tobacco to pray in our way.
Yeah.
And I gave some to Hunter and then realized like, oh, Scott's here
Yeah.
and he doesn't know. You know, and instead of like, he didn't have any, you know, like, this is silly or whatever.
He just
like
did
I was
it.
like, we use this for this, you know, you can't, and he's like, no, all right, you know, and he took
Yeah.
some tobacco.
he watched us and then
Yeah,
you know,
and
watched
I, like
us and-
I was like, that's really good.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
appreciated that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, not
So-
to mention when we went to smoke ourselves, he was all for it too. When
Yeah.
we left, he was like, "Yeah, I'd love to, sure, yeah,
Yeah.
you know."
Another thing I like about
He's
Scott before
open-minded.
we go back into that is he was, you can tell he's fearful, right? But he's still going forward with us.
Yeah.
And when we
Yeah.
go, he might not be the first one, but he's overcoming that fear as
Yeah.
he goes.
Well,
Yeah,
it's
kinda-
different. He's
It's
never
hard to
had
do when you're like,
been in that kind of
Situation, yeah,
right.
Like I never had, you know,
You
ghosts.
gotta swallow a lot to go forward when you're scared
Yeah.
like that,
Yeah.
with
So
something
let's-
you're not familiar with.
yeah.
Let's
So,
get back to the
The
yeah.
woman's asking for help, so you, Scott, and I take some tobacco, and we start saying, "Listen, like you can move on.
yeah.
You're not stuck
He
here.
can't hurt you
He
anymore.
can't hear you."
You know.
And Shane hears asshole, asshole, 3 times.
Yeah.
There's 3 of us there,
Yep.
and he hears bastard.
And then
And then finally, I
and
said,
the big
"Look,
one.
I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to this woman."
So
And
it,
Hunter,
it
you
was
said-
trying to distract you guys
Yeah,
from
and
what you were
Hunter's
doing.
like, "That's right, to the woman." And then you would say what you heard next on there.
I don't remember.
the, I'm gonna break
Oh.
your neck.
Oh, yeah, well, see,
Yeah.
I don't know the context.
Oh, that's
Oh, yeah, he's
Oh yeah, he doesn't know
Yeah.
what
So I'm just hearing shit. You know? At least it's dreaming in the car.
yeah.
I
So
mean,
as we're saying, like, we're not addressing the man, we're addressing the woman. I'm gonna break your neck.
And keep in mind, Dad, like you're supposed to, says it in the tone that you hear it
Yeah.
in. So he hears it in this
And
very
I try to
aggressive,
say which voice I'm hearing.
very
you know.
aggressive man voice.
And that's when I started to get agitated
Yeah.
too, because like that you were already a little, which I would be too, because he called you names directly.
And,
But when Shane says, "I'm gonna break your neck," I was like,
Yeah,
"I'm not talking to you." You know?
right, but you see what he was doing. It sounds
Yeah.
like all the time you tried to help her, he's still interrupting. And the same thing he was doing in my freaking ears too. She's like, yeah, he'd talk over, tell her to shut up.
Yeah.
You know, stuff like that. It was like, oh,
Yeah.
it's frustrating.
So it was
a few minutes later.
not even.
Not well, yeah, about with the
Yeah.
yeah, okay.
Yeah, that was right
Well, with
after.
like a
Didn't
minute or
you
two.
say,
Yeah.
"Come on, I'm not afraid of you"?
No,
No,
I wouldn't say that.
I
You said
Oh,
that?
I said, "Listen,
Because I heard it on the tape.
you leaned up against the gravestone,
yeah.
and right
There
after
was
you
a
said,
there
"I'm
was a
gonna break your
much
neck,"
taller pillars type
monument.
gravestone.
And I said, "Listen."
I actually wasn't even leaning on it. But.
Yeah, I said, "Listen, we're not afraid of you." And to the woman, and that's when you got.
Not even pushed. I got shoved, and I'll try to see what I can do. I'll probably put it on the computer and record it. We have video of me getting shoved hard. Keep in mind, I'm a 205, 210 pound, solid guy. That's solid. Solid doughboy. Anyways, yeah. So if it wasn't for me, you know, having to readjust myself because of he pushed me straight onto a bunch of. I'm guessing those were the children's graves, right?
graves, Yeah, the little
And
stones.
I almost ate it hard. You know, it with that built up with him calling me the B word.
And apparently, all the other challenging things you ever say when you guys are trying to help the girl.
Yeah. Cursing at us.
Whatever
asshole,
it just
things like
did
that.
not like me and didn't like Lance. Didn't like
And
any
he
of
didn't
the
like
guys,
anybody
really.
sticking up for this woman and giving
Exactly.
her a voice
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
trying to help her.
But you did tell her that she can move on.
Oh, we
and
told
that
her
she
several
doesn't
times.
have to listen.
Lance and I had a full-on
to
conversation with her.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to listen to him and not
Yep.
let her
And then
hold
every
him
time
back.
you try to interrupt, we just said, "We are talking to the woman only."
Yeah.
You know, like not even. Yeah.
But
And
he
then-
did his best, apparently,
Oh,
to
he
try to
did.
distract them.
Yeah.
And then after that, it did start to come down.
It simmered down.
I
quite a bit.
think he expended all the energy he had.
And I think that's
that
when-
shoving you was his last attempt.
Yeah,
for
yeah.
now.
For now, we want to do another trip back
Well, I
there.
had something else happen at the very end.
Oh,
Yeah, right before we pulled out. Okay.
okay.
Yeah. So before we left, because, and I think Shane did the same thing. I felt bad about this woman there, and just the babies in general. And actually, most of the places we go, right as we're leaving, I go around with and put tobacco out and do a little prayer around the place where we investigated.
And I want to put in there real quick too. When we go to a graveyard, because we don't normally do that, what we do is we give a tobacco offering and then we ask for permission.
Yeah.
Now, we'll wait some time. And, now there are times that you might say, well, how's it supposed to say get out? Fate's going to let you know.
It does.
So, it's a way of showing respect and showing the dead the respect that they deserve before we go to these places.
Mm-hmm.
But go ahead.
Yeah. So, also during Shane's spirit box section is when the light got knocked over again.
Oh, the second time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you were going to go by yourself, and then you said, like he's been antagonizing me. Maybe he wants me off by myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So,
you
I
went
went
with it,
and
yeah.
set it back up.
Yeah.
But
See,
anyway,
I think.
yeah. Which made sense.
Yeah.
Like he was needling you at the time purposefully.
And then all of a sudden this falls
Maybe he's
over.
trying to separate the herd.
Exactly.
you
He
know?
wanted me to go off.
At
least.
And that's actually what got because I think I'm sorry.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm going around putting the tobacco out, telling one last thing like,
Just talking about this.
You can-
Make me cramp up in my neck. I got angry again.
um,
Because I could hear the woman's voice.
telling her she can go and whoever's here if you want to move on. And I hear a big break in the woods and a like honestly kind of sounded like a person trying to sound like a guttural
Yeah.
thing. And I'm already agitated because once it said I'm gonna break your neck, I was like, so I was like, look, like our belief is much stronger than anything you can do.
Yeah.
It's not gonna work, buddy. And I just kept doing my thing there. But yeah, it felt like I said, it pushed you, it expended its thing. About 30 minutes later, I think that's all it could do was try to
He was
get
just
one
trying to
more and
nitpick me and then try to go after you
Yeah.
a bit and then realize he couldn't, so he gave me one last hurrah and didn't work out.
Yeah.
He got to push it, but it,
yeah.
didn't accomplish what he was trying to accomplish.
Hunter
We
was
had
like,
a lot of interaction.
if
whether
you
it was
had a
police
body,
officers,
if
If you
rods,
had heads, oh man, we'd be
deprivation
throwing
stuff. And then we did have a lot of EVP
Yeah.
or EMF crack one out with REM pods, and
Mhm.
that place was even more active, I think, the second time than the first time.
Yeah.
Oh, it
And-
definitely was.
Yeah.
And
by far, yeah.
there's on both of them. There's a feeling of something's trying to lure you
Into the woods.
danger.
Yeah.
And something else there is trying to not.
Oh, yeah, perfect
You know?
example for everyone here. If you're ever in a situation where you're ghost hunting and you feel like something's trying to get you to do something,
Don't
That you're
follow
uncomfortable
it.
with, don't do it.
Even if you're not uncomfortable with, if you're just unsure, you're like, okay, well, don't do it. Because you don't know what it is.
Be
You don't know
careful.
who is pretending to communicate with you. It could be whatever,
Well, Chrissy also saw that big snake while she was in the car. It could be something like that out there trying to get you.
Speaking of snakes, didn't you see one?
I guys are making me second guessing.
Don't
so I have
second
no
guess it.
idea.
That was
No,
Hencoop 3.
that was a real snake
Well, it
in the
wasn't really
snow.
Hencoop 3, but
No.
When we went to back.
So what happened is this past winter, was it February or January?
October. Oh no,
No,
It was snow on the ground. It was cold.
Oh,
It was after Christmas.
January.
January or February.
Yeah.
Early February.
A friend of ours, Ryan Cavallini, with Legend Hunter Films, and Bill Robertson, the author that we talked about on several of these shows, they wanted to do some promotional stuff. Bill for his book, Ryan for a documentary that he was doing. So they wanted to get our stories about what happened there and they wanted to see that weird sock thing because we told them about it.
Yeah.
So we were doing that. We showed them the things. They were doing like the videos and the photography and all that stuff and interviewing us. And then Hunter sees in the middle of winter with lots of snow on the ground.
Inches.
To me, it didn't. I don't like snakes, so don't bother to read about them. I don't really care. I know basic snakes, obviously, but little 6 to 8 inch white and black, perfectly patterned, what I thought was a snake, and didn't think anything of it until last weekend when we're talking about it, and they're saying how weird and strange and how abnormal it is.
Come out during the winter.
Right.
Yeah.
Because
But you don't
cold-blooded,
usually
they can't
see
come out.
snakes on the
It wasn't
on the
moving,
snow.
and it was lined up like in the crack of a grave where the grave meets the ground. You know what I mean? Like the flat surface.
Mhm.
But now I'm starting to second guess if I actually just saw that, if I'm just like,
Oh, I think you saw
you
it.
saw
and
it.
I think
Beetlejuice.
if you don't like snakes, and this thing purposely tries to
keep in mind, this is
you know,
the
And this is a
visit.
daytime. It's not like we were there. At
Yeah, this
night,
is the
so.
visit we did after this last big old the stuff we were just talking to you
oh
guys
yeah, it's
about.
like 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah,
You
but
know, like-
this is the visit after that last
Yeah.
investigation.
But even then, it's almost like an omen. You saw,
And it
even whether it was real or not, it was an omen.
was in the grave,
Likely.
pretty much in the same 10, 50-foot vicinity of that corner that we were doing the session in.
Yeah.
So, and it wasn't the one that I got pushed on, it was the opposite corner of it. That one that had the broken one statue on it that
Yeah.
we thought was like
but
moved.
still that cold area where
the whole
that
corner of it, yeah.
male
Where we were having all
So,
that weird
entity-
activity
Yeah.
seemed to exist.
and
That's
all
pretty
the
strange.
activity in the woods right around it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But
You want
yeah,
to do like,
I don't think we need to. We're
Let's ask some questions. Why not?
well, it's because we're already.
we're over an
Over
hour.
an hour.
We can save the ones we've got for a shorter podcast.
Do we have a quick one question we could do?
I'd like to watch
let's
that.
actually let's talk about the is it wise to bring home souvenirs from a haunted place and what could go wrong? Like that's a good because we found something that I think some people might have taken something out of if they didn't know better.
Talking about the.
Yeah.
Oh.
I could see people in that cemetery. They find that sock in the tree and be
If
like,
there's, like,
"Oh,
some-
this is neat. I'm gonna take this."
Or if
Right.
like there's some kind of stone or something in
Yeah.
there. Yeah.
We should also know too. In that cemetery, wasn't it the same one we had little horse toys?
No, that
No,
was
that was
Guernsey.
Guernsey.
Oh, that was Guernsey.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So
Another thing you wouldn't want to take, even if
Yeah.
something
Yeah.
like that.
yeah, we'll go. Lisa, I think that was yours. You finally got that question. So what do you think, Lisa? Should you take stuff home from a haunted house?
As
Or
much as
place.
somebody would like to, I would say no.
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
Why though?
Why? Because you don't know what's attached to that. You,
Right.
if you take something and they'll be like, "What are you doing? That's mine."
Yeah.
And they're gonna follow you home,
Yeah.
and then you're in a whole lot of mess because
Go ahead. Sorry.
And they might not
They're
be
taking
nice
something
people
that's not
following
yours.
you home.
Oh,
Right.
that
They might be angry
example.
you took its thing and
Yeah.
it's coming after you.
Yeah.
it could be cursed. You don't know what's wrong with that.
Yeah. You don't know what's connected
Never
to
take
it.
something
And
from
it
a
could even
haunt.
be just something with its own weird
Even
energy.
if it's just like a little pebble, don't take
Say
it.
a prime example of that was friend Paul.
Yeah, we shared that story on one of our podcasts. But like they had a painting that had something attached to it.
Yep.
Excuse me.
Where's that at? Oh, Fletcher.
Paul
Snyder. Remember the story he
Oh,
messaged
yeah.
us?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, you like you said, you never know. There are chances that there's something kind attached to it. You know, it could be your mother. You know, it could be whatever. But there's a
Well,
big
if
chance.
you're on an investigation or at a
As an
haunted
investigation, yeah.
No.
You never know what's attached to it. You never know what's been in that house on that
Or what
property.
can be attached.
What could be? Yeah, you
The-
don't
the
know.
thing is, you're haunting a place for 300 years. Everything's just like this.
yeah.
And then all of a sudden somebody walks off with this. You might go after them just because it didn't have an attachment, but now it does because you just
Not to
took
mention-
something that they see as theirs.
That
Yeah,
yeah,
you
not
know?
to mention that land that stuff was on was there since the beginning of time. You don't know what
Oh yeah,
could have
what
been
was
through
there
there.
before. Yeah.
Exactly. So
Right, and these
I
pots
wouldn't
that
recommend it,
damage the,
you know.
the gravestones and stuff, same kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You're risking
if
something
you
by doing
don't
that.
take anything from a cemetery, please.
A friend of ours,
And don't damage them.
Yeah.
a friend of Grandma and I's took just a stone because they thought it was nice, a stone home from a famous haunted place.
Right. Or some people just
Trent.
want a memento.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it was just outside.
Trent in that.
Well, that was an accident. Like, he didn't mean to, but like, she knew this place was haunted, you know, and like, but I think it was a crystal or something, right? You remember what I'm talking about? I don't want to say the place because I don't want to get her in trouble. Up the road from us, haunted place. But she took something home, had it in the car with her. Her and her friends are driving home, and she starts getting like sick.
Wait, who is this? Just some random.
Can't
person?
say.
A friend.
Okay, sorry.
It was private property, so I'm not going to say.
By
But
the
she,
way, we don't sneak on anything. This is somebody
No.
else.
no. I actually don't think it was private at the time. I think it was abandoned at the time, but it's private property.
Yeah, yeah.
Because this was years and years ago. But she starts getting very ill, like telling her friends, if I recall the story correctly, like, we might need to turn around.
This is on a native reservation too, by the way.
Yeah, this was it. She might need to turn around to go to the ER. Like, that sick.
Holy crap.
So they stopped for a minute, you know, and she looks down and this rock is in the thing, and she was like,
So it started.
put it out of the car, you know, closed the door, took a couple and just started to feel
Felt
better.
to go away?
Yeah.
Huh. We'll talk about that outside.
She should have put it back.
Yeah,
But-
put it back.
You
But-
can't.
And there's a number of sites around the world that are famous for that, where people have taken things, and you think people would learn a lesson, and then they're sending this rock back to Europe, you know, in the mail. Please put this back with our, apology.
Yeah.
You know,
So yeah, don't. If you're at a ghost hunt or investigating a thing, like, don't. I wouldn't risk it.
No.
Taking anything home as a souvenir of like, oh, like, I'm gonna remember my time. And,
Yeah.
You'll remember it all right. 'Cause,
well, there's a good chance you could.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
well, I'm saying you'll remember it if you take it home because it won't stop. Like, it'll be continuing.
Yep.
Well, yeah, let's finish, wrap it up there. We got our, for all of our socials, it's SpiritHunters.group, has links to all of our socials.
Newly edited and revised from Lisa, so check it out.
Our website.
That's
Yeah.
what you're saying.
Yeah.
SpiritHunters.group. Yeah.
Did you say Ghostly Chronicles?
Ghostly Chronicles, but that's linked on the Spirit Hunters group,
Yeah,
right?
all that, social media, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, Ghostly Chronicles.
And note too, we have some friends on our website, feel free to visit them. Soon we're going to put some of the businesses of which we investigated, maybe
Links up to their stuff.
patronize. Yeah.
And if you guys like our content, make sure you like the video and subscribe, because that actually really helps out a lot.
We sure
with
like
things.
comments.
Yep.
Comments, yeah, leave any questions you
Questions.
might have.
Comments, gripes, concerns, yeah.
Yep, yep. So yeah, until next time.
Thanks for watching, guys.
Well, let's say real quick too, our emails, our first name .spirithunters@gmail.
Yeah,
Just-
it's we have it. If you look at our website and on top of our Facebook, it's in the banner right there. Shane, Lisa, Hunter,
Brenda,
Lance, and Brenda. But our threes are on the website. You can message or call any one of us relating to it. So
Elise?
Happy huntings.
take care, guys. Thank you for watching.
Hello and welcome to the Spirit Hunters podcast. I'm Lance Wagle, and joining with me as
Let's just start over and stop.
it was the
Blueberries.
It was the,
Well, I thought that's what we were doing. We did it so you know where to start. And
I
then
know,
you were
but
gonna.
then Hopi was still doing it.
Oh. All right. When I count to, let's wave. Do the wave thing, and then
No, it's good. It's good. I can
Alright.
find it now.
all right. Let me know when you're good. All right, Hobie, hold on.
Don't look at her.
That's the Roblox wave.
That's the
Roblox.
Their
Fortnite
little
thing.
dance move.
Oh,
Yeah.
the little.
I think she was
The flossing. Yeah, that's how did you know the name of that?
I'm hip.
The fact that you said hip means you're not
Right.